couple of days due to the fact that we've still got a tortie that's still in heat. So in between the intermittent yowling, I just kind of decided to give it a rest. I had to go to the eye doctor. Cataract's not getting any better, but they still don't want to cut into my eye because that's a whole lot of can of worms. Now, what I got for you tonight, guys. Oh, by the way, yesterday, as per Twitter, marked the 40-year anniversary of when Dragons of Despair was released. Okay? For DragonLance. Okay? So, 40 years ago, see, I was going to get on and stream then. I'd posted something to YouTube, right before midnight about it, but I did manage to get it mentioned. But, anyways, I figured I wanted to mention that. But what I was going to cover for y'all tonight, guys, a little bit about this whole, the Burrfoot project. Concerning Planescape and Spelljammer, I used minimal bits of that. Okay, very little. But what I did use, like I said, it's toward the very end of that part of the book, so it's just something that might change near the end. But what I took a lot of the stuff from was Krynnspace, okay, which was written by Jean Rabe. Now, some of this really, once Planescape had been instituted, it rendered a lot of stuff that was in Krynnspace completely nil. Now, let me also add, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, none of that garbage is going on in their DragonLance, okay? And with due respect, there isn't anything in Krynn that they don't want to be there. So, if they don't want it there, it's yeeted out immediately, okay? It's kind of like Ravenloft. They can, anything that's within their spirit, they can just put out immediately. Okay, guys, what I'm about to play you here is a small segment here. It's just a little something I was working on. Let me get the camera turned around here, and I'll show the dragon orb here. But this is Laurana and the Spelljammer. All right, there we go. Let's get there we go. Hey, sweet. All right. You can say that, can't you? All right, y'all. All right, guys. Hold on with me just a second, and we'll get to it. All right.
Come look outside, Laurana. Tars beckoned to Laurana, who intrepidly still clung to Tanis, unsure of whether stepping outside of the safety of the ship's cabin. The hull vibrated, but the inner sounds of even the cabin's fireplace were muted when Tars opened the door, walked out and then came back in. Behind him through the doorway she could see starlight, and further down near the ship's rail she saw Astrid now jumping excitedly and pointing to Pez about something across the starboard. Laurana gave an uneasy look at Tanis and poked her head out of the cabin. Tanis seemed to be in much of awe as she was. It's incredible. Tanis started to blink back tears of awe. So much of this world we've risked our lives for, and it seems so big when we're down there. I can almost take Ansalon in my hands. Tanis held his hands up to trace the outline of Ansalon while looking down at the world of Krynn. It seemed so vibrant and alive. Watching the subtle waves of its oceans breathe like it was alive, and the continents themselves twinkled and shone in certain spots with odd pinpoints of light near certain areas, most specifically around Hilo and Kendamore and Solace. Absolutely incredible, Fizban, you old codger, you're right, Tars. Tanis wiped a tear. Wish Flint could be here to see this. He turned toward Laurana and held out his hand. The view as she looked up was so alarmingly beautiful she almost choked from the magnificence. But what she saw as she exited the cabin made her almost faint. Luckily Tanis was there to help her not fall off and away as they stood on the starboard looking out to sea. The entire continent of Ansalon at suborbital distance above Krynn. Tanis! My gods! Tanis! Oh my! Laurana wavered dizzyingly as the vertigo inevitable with one unfamiliar with how outer space can make one feel severely out of touch. for one used to a horizon or a prime material gravity keeping one to the ground. Laurana felt like she was going to float away if she didn't grab something, but it must have been in her head because Tanis and Tars both looked at her like her assumptions were foolish. It's beautiful, but can we really be that high up? This ship. We're looking at Ansalon. Qualinesti. Silvanesti. Urgoth. Laurana stifled a breath and blinked back a tear. To see the sunrise over Qualinesti, Silvanost, the moons I can see part of Solinari over here. Ha! Ha! See Lady Laurana, I win the bet. I tell you Lunitari is not made of cheese. Although we disappoints dear Pez, as we must say a big wheel of cheese would have been nice to haul back to Urgoth. Instead we have a ship. Astrid stuck her hand out as if waiting for Laurana to pay her a coin, but Laurana took it as an excuse to use the Kendamaid to safely peer over the railing and keep her anchored, as the ship moving was severely causing vertigo. They were traveling in orbit around Krynn and the continent was getting closer, as she realized the ship was not heading straight down towards the continent. The ship cannot go straight down, you see. Astrid blew her whistle and signaled to Pez at the ship's wheel to turn it slightly to the right. See, Papa and Mama, when I was born, they crashed the Ansalas because they didn't land it right. The planet, see ya? The ship skipped like a stone, and was moving so fast it catched fire. Papa didn't know how to land. Krynn has atmosphere, all this air and things moving creates pressure and the Earth it is like a big magnet. DM's note *, you must understand that a Kender even having a remote grasp of what would be 20th century concept of space and planets is exceptionally rare. Astrid is essentially Einstein in her world, we be patient. Astrid huffed and rocked back on her heels irritably as she wasn't satisfied with the wait either. Kender won't use a door when there is a window or cubby to climb through to the same destination. It irritated her to the tips of her pointed little ears. She had to wait for anything, especially for a ship to dock. Tildon said orbit, Tars added. He said if we try to glide straight in we are liable to hit an ice cloud or we hit the atmosphere too fast and bounce or burn up. He said this ship isn't magically inclined structurally to excess force due to the natural laws of physics and prime material gravity. You can cast a few spells to offset it, but why waste the manpower when you can just wait your turn and glide into a sanctioned spelljamming port if you have permission? Tars tried to recall from memory what the she-halfling from the Wild Space crew had told him about docking a spelljammer. The clouds move slow or fast depending on how the wind moves, but sometimes you can glide right in all quiet, and you'll know you're okay because the ship settles just like it was sitting on the sea. You'll see the clouds part just like a window. Don't ever steer the ship into clouds you can't see through near suborbital. An ice wave can come crashing out of the billows and tear your ship to shreds, and send you falling toward the earth a frozen popsicle to smash into the ground into tiny fragments or burn alive in the atmosphere. No, be patient, and if this Fizban is who he really says he is, trust in the old fella. I'm a halfling, Mr. Burrfoot, but where I come from round the world I knew ain't too many people been getting into this world of yours from outside Wild Space without permission, and praise be ye gods for that. Not so pleasant to have 1,000 screaming Githyanki knights or a drow dreadnought or an illithid prey stalker come to your world, no. Praise ye powers they be keeping. That riff-raff out of ye sphere, but I tell ye Mr. Burrfoot must ye talk so much about this round the common folk of your world now, people might thinkin' you're crazy and they might start mumbling bad things, so be careful who ye tells it to. Too many a basher got loose-lipped and wound up with their memories gone. Advice given to Tars from a hairy-foot halfling encountered aboard a spelljamming vessel. Halflings from other worlds have been known to visit Krynn, but they are most certainly regarded by the Conclave and the Tower of High Sorcery of being from off-world, and they will instantly be confronted and removed if found to be so. Certain people on Krynn are aware of strange things in their skies, from UFOs to men in black, with wands that work like neuralizers. None of this is conducive to mention if you wish to stay long on Krynn. Outsiders are ill-advised to finish their business and leave, as there are certain entities on Krynn that are very capable of removing them by force and with little fanfare. For most Ancelonians, even for Laurana who has seen the terrain from the back of a dragon, it is entirely another thing to see your planet from outer space. Comprehend the shock yourselves as readers would react to being several 100,000 miles above your own planet with no windows or conventional protection. Spelljamming ships must not worry about cosmic radiation, lack of oxygen, lack of light or heat in a vacuum, etc. Some DMs differentiate between prime material space and astral space, the prime being the black vacuum with stars and planets, and astral space being an entirely pocket membrane between space and reality but still important in containing each world, or crystal sphere. Krynn has a membrane as well within its crystal sphere, the array of planets and space surrounding Krynn. One cannot usually travel from another TSR world into Krynn as easily. Toril is the only planet where one can feasibly cross the astral membrane, albeit with some restrictions. Nothing is allowed to be in Krynn without some say-so from its ruling deities. Even upon entering Krynn's atmosphere at certain points is precarious and dangerous due to the sheets of sporadic ice clouds that constantly cycle and whip around the upper layers of the atmosphere over the entire planet. Observants have even seen these massive sheets or waves of ice cascading and glittering across the planet, not necessarily affecting the weather, as the ice clouds themselves seem to have an indistinct pattern that cannot be calculated safely by anyone but the best off-world or educated Spelljammer crew. Krynn has a select few ports, magical openings that only stay open to admit a single vessel. The vessels land to hide on the ground, or if they remain in suborbital space, they can teleport to their crews safely. Krynn's extreme largeness also makes its gravity harder to escape if you were to try to, say, take a rocket off the planet. Gnomes have blasted themselves into the suborbital stratosphere for centuries around Krynn, but few have ever come back to tell the tale.
Hello? Yep. What you think, y'all? Alright, guys. We'll be back in a few minutes. Get yourself something to drink. Stay tuned. Welcome back for a few minutes. Let's see here. What do we got rolling here? That's pretty much it on that one. But like I said, guys, the other book, it comes out August 6, 2024. I apologize for the wailing tortie in the background. We'll go ahead and cut this a little short tonight, because otherwise we're going to have nothing but a squalling cat in the background, and we don't really need that, okay? But thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, I am eventually going to set up some DragonLance stuff and try to play some. Guys, don't be afraid to send me a message on YouTube or comment on Twitch. Like I said, just be courteous. Don't be an a-hole, or I will ignore you. If you have any questions or something to ask me, go ahead. This stuff, guys, is OGL content. It's based on AD&D 2nd edition material. My channel is not monetized in any capacity. Okay? Alright, most of this stuff is for the private, free enjoyment of the DragonLance community. Okay. Anyway, incidentally, like I said, the third DragonLance book, it comes out in August. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, they're supposed to be at Gen Con selling books. So, it's still, DragonLance is not dead. Okay? It's just in a transitional period. That's what I like to think of it as. It ain't dead. I bought my books 25 years ago, y'all. It's definitely not dead in any capacity. Alright, y'all. Be good, and we'll holler back at you a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and just let this end out. That's about a 17-minute segment. It ain't too bad. That's enough to be able to load up to the YouTube, and just quick of enough of a bite to wet your whistle. And plus, I'm not sitting here rambling. I've got a whole bunch of more material to put up here. I've got another thing for the prelude for When Black Roses Bloom, basically explaining how Strahd, okay, what happens is, okay, at the end of Black Roses Bloom, Tickle Mop, he jumped into Lord Soth, right? Now, if you haven't played that module, I will spoil it for you, but like I said, she was supposed to go back to, she didn't come back with him to Krynn. So where did she end up? She ended up back at Strahd's castle. Those ravens, when they blew that amulet apart, guess what? They assembled and went back to Strahd's castle. Yeah. Okay, but anyways, we'll get to that later. All right, it's still rolling. If you haven't, check out Raceland versus Strahd. Check out my segment on Northern Urgoth. I've got a bunch of these audio All right, guys, we'll holler at you a little bit later.